Claude has finally released their Android app, and it's ready to go head-to-head with ChatGPT's. Which app will become dominant? That story and more in this week's episode of AI News of the Week. I'm Jonathan Green, host of the Artificial Intelligence Podcast. If this is your first time here, welcome. I only cover the news that is relevant for business owners and entrepreneurs. All of the news that's useful without the hype. I scoured hundreds of news stories to find the 8 that matter to your business this week. My goal is to give you all the information you need in as little of your time as possible. Let's stop wasting time and get right into the stories. Our first story is from Anthropic. They have finally released their latest AI model, and let me show you exactly what it gives you. This new model now outperforms their Claude 3 level Opus. Later this year, they will be releasing Claude 3.5 Haiku and Opus, but right now, Sonnet is the first 3.5 level that's out there. And let's just say, the reviews are very positive. Whether you have the free or the paid version of Claude, you get access to 3.5, but with the paid version, you can ask more questions and get more answers every single day. So you get a lot more information. The ability to test it is available even if you're on the free plan. A lot of the testing we've already seen shows that Claude is absolutely a master of code, and it's been tested in several languages, including Spanish, Japanese, and French, and they're starting to show some pretty good results in German, Italian, Dutch, and Russian. It's twice as fast as the previous version, Claude 3 Opus, so this should have you very, very excited. One of the stories we're going to be talking a lot about is their new tool called Artifacts. This is really its evolution from a conversational tool to a collaborative tool, where multiple people can work on a program, an artifact together, and that should have you very excited, and that leads us into some of our next stories. Anthropic just posted to X that now you can publish and share your artifacts with other people, and you can even use and remix artifacts created by other people. This is going to lead to a whole new level of innovation. I'm be creating artifacts for you guys to play with. I'm be building on top of other people's artifacts. This might just be the feature that pushes Claude in front of ChatGPT and gives them that new pole position they've been trying to get for the past year. Very, very interesting to see them releasing feature after feature that's something completely new rather than just copying what ChatGPT is doing. This has you excited. Collaboration, building other people's tools, getting one-click prompts from other developers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if this has you as excited as it has me. Our third story is also Anthropic. Anthropic has finally released the Claude app for the Google Play Store for those of us who don't use an iPhone. It's nice for the rest of the world to finally get access to this really, really powerful tool. One of the things that's always annoyed me about Claude is that it's been much more region selective. If you don't live in a first world country, they make it much harder to access their app. Not really a big fan of that. I think the purpose of AI is democratization, and they should really be available to everyone instead of geo-locking out people based on their countries or backgrounds. Especially if you can afford the paid version, you shouldn't be locked out. So I'm not a big fan of that, but some of their other features are making up for it, and I'm excited to finally see this in the Google Play Store. Our next story should come as no surprise. It turns out that Apple trained their AI models on YouTube without anyone's permission. A lot of different platforms have been doing this. Most AIs have been trained on people's information without their permission. The use of YouTube doesn't surprise me. We've already seen that Google used Reddit to train their model. That's why their model gives so many bad and crazy answers, because Reddit is not always the first place you go for a serious answer. There's a lot of sarcasm on there, and unfortunately, AIs aren't so great at detecting sarcasm yet, so they'll repeat false information because they don't know the person was joking. There's a lot to be said about how much you own your information once it's out there, what someone can do once they've watched your information, and this is something that I think will have to be decided in the courts. Is it okay to take my content, train AI based on me, and then use that without my permission? How much of what is me do I actually own? And I think this is going to come down to those same laws for paparazzi. If you can take a person's picture without their permission and sell that picture, you're already using their own asset without their permission. If that's allowed, why isn't it allowed to take that picture without their permission, train an AI, and then put that AI in movies without that person's permission? Do I own my appearance or not? I think this needs to be recited in the court. My personal opinion, of course, is that all the paparazzi stuff should go away. You should not be allowed to take someone's picture without their permission, and that would solve most of these problems, and that would make it very clear that what Apple did here was wrong. But because we allow paparazzi shenanigans, stuff like this follows suit. Hopefully the courts figure it out and start to create a real bright line between what you own and what you don't own from your content, your face, your voice, your personality. What assets belong to me inherently? I think that needs to be decided. Our next story is the perfect accompaniment. There's a new act in front of Congress called the Copied Act that would make it illegal to remove digital watermarks. The idea here is that whenever you generate an AI image, there's something inside of it that says, I'm AI generated. And if you remove that, that's illegal. This reminds me of mattress tags when I was a kid. It was illegal to move a mattress tag. I remember that joke from the Pee Wee Herman movie. Who's going to catch you? If you're someone who's creating images meant to deceive, well, knowing that it's naughty that you also remove the digital watermark, you were already doing something bad. Why wouldn't you go one step further? I'm not sure that this will do anything other than possibly make it a little easier to prosecute people who make a fake image and use it for a crime. I don't think this is the right solution, because if someone's going to remove a watermark, they're not going to care about this step. But especially considering that the AI models are trained on other people's information without their permission. So you train your AI model on a bunch of images that are stolen. Now, if I make something with that AI model, I have to keep the tag that says who made that image. If you don't care about it when you're creating it, why should I care about when I'm reusing it? There's a problem with this logic chain. And again, the courts are focused on the wrong part of this process. They need to really sort out who owns what and how AI models are allowed to be trained before they work on this, because otherwise there is a moral inconsistency. This story is going to get really important because it leads into our next two stories. But there have been some arguments and a lot of studies saying that all of these big AI tests are close to meaningless. And I think it's probably true. There are a lot of leaderboards and benchmarks showing which AI is the best, but they all answer the exact same questions. Those questions are published and findable online, which means when I train a new AI model, it's seen the questions and the answers inside of its database. So getting asked the exact same question isn't asking it to think, it's asking it to find that pre-existing answer. I'm not really sure how useful they are. There are a lot of channels and other people that cover the specific tests and stories. And my experience is that those are usually things that I never do. I don't need to know if my AI can take the LSAT and get a good score, because that's not what I'm doing for my work. The most important thing, and that's the lesson I want you to take home from this story, is that you should test an AI, see it gives you the best results for you, and that's the one you should use, not the one that has the best benchmarks. And speaking of benchmarks, Hugging Face has just released a small LM model that can run on your phone without the cloud. This is very important. This is the first AI specifically designed to run from the chip inside your phone without needing to be connected to the internet. We've seen those devices like the Human AI Pin and the Rabbit R1. Those all work by sending a message to the internet and getting the answer back from ChatGPT, just like the current apps in my phone. The Claude app, which I covered earlier, the ChatGPT app, Midjourney app, all these apps I have in my phone, they don't work if I'm not connected to the internet. But Hugging Face has released one that actually works. They've also released their results on the leaderboard. At first, these look really exciting, but you have to look carefully. They're comparing it to ChatGPT 2, which most of you have never encountered and probably never heard of, because most of us really became aware of AI around the ChatGPT 3 generation. That's when AI got really exciting. So this is competing with very old models, but the core idea that you can have a pretty smart AI that lives inside your phone and doesn't require access to the internet, this is something very exciting. And this is an open source, absolutely free model with no limitations, very much worth testing. And I will be testing this in the coming weeks. If you want to see that test, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you see when I put out that video. Our last story comes from Mistral. They released a new app called Codestral Mamba, which is an open source AI coding assistant. This is the area where we've seen a lot of big developments with AI in the past year, helping coders, helping developers, and more importantly, helping people with no coding experience to create their first piece of software. So this is very exciting. This is a smaller model. It's only 7 billion parameters. Some of the larger models are more than 100 billion parameters, but this is coding specific. So it doesn't need to know a lot about language or history or anything outside the world of coding. So for a coding specific model, 7 billion isn't actually that small. It has a really large context window of 256,000 tokens. This means that it can look at almost 1 million characters of content inside a single piece of code, so it can write a much larger program. And finally, it's open source. It means anyone can use it. There's no limitations. You don't have to pay anyone. There's no licenses to deal with. This is something very, very, very exciting. And this should be something on your radar, because open source models are absolutely critical for keeping the paid models in check. The open source models are the reason the paid models can't keep raising their prices. There's a reason ChatGPT, Claude, and most of these other subscriptions are locked in at $20 a month. This right here is exactly why. And that's your AI news of the week from us here at Serve No Master. As always, we give you only the information you need and none of the fluff. Are you excited to have AI apps in your phone? Do you want an AI that works even when your phone isn't connected to the internet? Or do you want a smarter model that only works when it is connected to the cloud? Let me know in the comments below. This is a smaller channel and I do read and respond to every comment personally. If you found this video useful, interesting, or at least entertaining, please smash that like button so that other people can see this video. If you subscribe, you'll see more of my videos in your feed, and if you hit the bell, you'll get notified every time I post a new video. If I missed an important story you wanted me to cover, please let me know in the comments as well. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I'll be back next week with another batch of AI news in 20 minutes or less. This is Jonathan Green, signing off. Thank you so much for watching one of my videos. Hit the like button, and then I've got a couple of sweet videos that I think you're gonna like. I've got one here and another one over here. You're gonna love them.